Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is the horoscope for Pisces. If Pisces is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so tonight we have the Devil card. One of my favorites. Absolutely. Brings in an energy of change, of being somebody who just isn't going to go with whatever, right? You're not going to go with it just because somebody said you should, because somebody said you had to. This is a spirit of a great... I'm trying to think, what can I say? What can I say that the algorithm won't get mad at? It's somebody who absolutely a little rebellious, right? Not going to just go along to get along. This is about changing fundamental aspects of life, right? Getting into a place where you're relinquishing the constraints of conditioning. All right. Let's get started. Okay. So let's see what these tea leaves have to say. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to hit that like button or leave a comment, I wouldn't be mad at you. I'd actually love to hear from you, especially if this is your first time watching a reading. Okay, let's see. We have, it looks like 2211. That's what I'm seeing. 2211. We also, the 11 looks like a sad face as well. So I don't know if that number has any meaning to you or if it will, possibly in the near future. Okay, let's see. Now we have a person on a horse up here. You can see the large horse. We have the person sitting right here. We also have a quill right up here, a writing quill, which, is kind of pictured here as being that feather, that old school, back in the day, pen, basically, the feather that would be dipped into the ink to write. So this has something to do with maybe writing, actually literally writing, that maybe diaries, journals. Maybe you are a writer, maybe you're getting into writing. This might be that there's a lot of typing or writing involved in your work. Or it could be, and this is one that I always love seeing in the readings, is somebody who is establishing some kind of documentation of their family's histories or their histories themselves, right? So maybe you're somebody who's really into genealogy, building a family tree, collecting documents, and taking accounts from maybe family members who are older, okay? This is always something I find so interesting. People that become kind of their own family journalists, right? Or what's the word? Historian, I guess. Yeah. So going and, listening to the stories about the days before you were born, or, parts of the family doings that maybe you had no idea about. It's funny when you start to get context about things that happened when you were young, right? They maybe seemed like something completely different when you were a kid. And then as you become an adult, you start to think, oh yeah, that was maybe kind of not what I thought it was. But then when you talk to the elders of your family, you might find out there's this whole backstory, all of these things happening around the situation that you were completely oblivious to. So, you know, I do feel that there's a sense of wanting to keep track of these things. Now, we have the horse. Okay, so the person on the horse represents to me a movement in life, deciding that you're going to make some kind of changes. Okay, so if you can imagine, you know, kind of getting up on that horse and riding away into the distance there. Deciding maybe that there is a literal move going on. You want to live somewhere else. You want to try a different area or a different home. Maybe this is that you are thinking about leaving a relationship or beginning a relationship. Maybe quitting your job or, you know, transferring somewhere. Beginning a new career, maybe retiring, you know, these kinds of things. And so I feel like this has really been on your mind. And I feel like, you know, this is related very much to your interest in, or maybe it is kind of not even an interest, but you're just being pulled, you know, really compelled to kind of look at the past. And maybe this is sentimental, maybe this is nostalgic, maybe it is kind of the lifting of the veil, wanting to have an understanding of kind of what has gone on collectively within my family, within, it could be your chosen family, adopted family, you know, friends groups that feels very much like family, whatever it is. Okay. This is an era of your life where you are examining things. Okay. And that can be a really compelling feeling. I mean, you know, a lot of people, there are big databases and websites and you know, systems of support to do this very kind of self-exploration. It is a popular thing, you know. I myself haven't done it, but, you know, I've had people get information from me for family family information, you know. So I think it's happening in most families, you know, a lot of families. Somebody is interested in building up that family tree, probably. It might be you. So anyways, we're gonna look over here. We have a person who is holding their hand up. There's a heart right here. You can see the head of the person, their hand raised, wearing a dress or maybe some kind of robe or something like that. Probably a dress though. And almost looks like they have a goose as well. If you kind of, let's see, how can I do this? If you block it off, you can see that there's a goose beneath them, okay? So we also have a person sitting here looking on. And behind them, it looks like another person who is maybe dancing, okay? So I do feel like there is an impulse towards love as well. And I feel like this is really, it comes down to really wanting a connection here. A connection with your own story, a connection with self, but also a connection with your people, right? A connection with the family, friends, your spouse, your children, you know, even the most solitary of us, and I would consider myself fairly solitary as a being, or at least I have the desire to be most of the time, which works out for me because my husband, shout out to Dove and Serpent Tarot, is pretty much the same way. Now we have a daughter who is very extroverted and I think, is much more of a people person. So that's been fun, kind of having that energy around. It kind of changes the dynamic in a way that opens us up more, right, to connecting. But I think even the most solitary of us, we all have these impulses to want to connect with each other. It's in our very nature. And so I feel like this is a period of time where, yeah, you're wanting to look at these things, investigate these things, and find your place, right? To have a deeper understanding of, how do I fit in here? How do I connect here, right? And I think finding a belovedness in this work that you are doing, finding that there are deeper ties, that there are maybe even patterns. Something I find really interesting is when people start digging into the family, and there are things that maybe aren't talked about, especially from the old days, right? Our great-grandparents, our grandparents, and so a lot of things stigmatized, a lot of things hidden, mental illness, ailments, and people in the family who are spiritual in a way that maybe doesn't follow kind of the agreed upon religion, or psychic, magical, participating in the occult, or witchcraft, or what might be perceived as being so, or even family members that maybe never married, or they had tragedies and they kind of became alienated, or the black sheep of the family. And these are a lot of different things, and of course there's so much more, but these are kinds of things that maybe don't get talked about. They don't get carried from one generation to the next. We don't always have these understandings. And when you start to uncover that, hey, maybe my great auntie was perceived to be quite psychic. She maybe never married. She didn't have children, and so she was kind of, in the eyes of everybody else, pitiful, although maybe she had a very vibrant life, a lot of things going on, friends and companions and stuff like this. And we never find this out until we go looking. So it's interesting to see people kind of find these family members, and then also find aspects of their own experience within the ancestors that they maybe didn't even know they had, right? And you feel less alone. You're not as other as, or othered as you maybe have felt. You are part of something. And that is to be celebrated. And so, through this sense of belonging, I feel like there is great contemplation. I think that this changes kind of the context of things. Maybe your belief system, or not your worldview, right? The way that you kind of have constructed things, with where you're lacking some information, you're lacking context. Well, now it's becoming more clear. And so it is something to kind of go over, right? And right here, it looks like a circle to me, but it also looks like a mirror. So I feel that there is this period of time here where you are kind of very introspective. I feel like this is, it is a tool, it is a journey you're on that really kind of allows you to become more yourself, to be more accepting of the very authentic aspects of your being. And that's the most beautiful occurrence in life, I think. When we really can begin to know ourselves and accept ourselves, right? And sometimes we need familiar beings to do so, right? Even if we don't know them, and we maybe will never directly know them, but it's like reading a book, an author where you think, oh my gosh, they have thoughts like I have thoughts. We share the same thinking, especially when it's somebody who has written, 100 years ago or 500, 1,000 years ago, and you think, my goodness, they're just people like I'm a person. They have struggles just like I do. They have insecurities just like I do. They have, they're focused on things that maybe seem very specific and strange, but yet here I think about the same things, and we are connected in that way. I'm not alone. There is a kinship here, and so it helps us, I think, with clarity, look at ourselves. Now we have the person dancing over here, so I do feel that there is a sense of celebration. Absolutely a celebration. The heart with little fireworks, right? Feeling heard, seen, felt, while you are doing the same for others. I recognize you. You recognize me. There's a confirmation of being here. And that is something, to be celebrated. Okay, up here it looks like we have the word S, E, and that cross thing. So if you can spell those two, if you can spell that, there's a sense of, sensuality as well. If you're in the northern hemisphere, we're in summer. So the stirrings, right? That fiery energy. It is. It's wild summer energies. Now, if you are in the southern hemisphere, it is a sense of coupling during those darker months, right? It's colder. It's a little more slow. There's a feeling of coziness and togetherness, and so there's a reason that there's a lot of children born about 9 months after a huge snowstorm. Where I live, there's always the joke when we have a few days where everybody's snowed in, or we're having blizzards, or it's very, very cold and you dare not go out unless you have to. You can, there are always booms in how many kids are being born later on in the year. So let's go ahead and see over here. We have 2 illuminated candles or lights. So this is 2 revelations coming through in this next period of time. Now, we have the Ace of Cups and we have a fish. Okay, so this tells me through emotional work, through work that exists in the psychic and the spiritual and in the emotional. These are tied together, flowing together. Through this, there will be money. There will be money made. So putting these energies into the work that you're doing, into the posture of your being, right? That your disposition, your openness, and I feel, through your deeper understanding of self, there's a lightness to you. There is a relief in a way. And I think this carries over into other aspects of your life. It allows you to really commit yourself to the work that you're doing. And that is the work that you do for money, okay, in your career. Although you're immersed in this, it opens up a space in these other places in your life where you are actually less distracted, okay? And so I feel like there's just an overall sense of light in your life. It feels warm. It feels inviting. It feels excitable. That sense of celebration. And so, yeah, I think money is going to be flowing towards you much more easily, okay? Not a feeling of scrapping by or, grinding it out or eking it out, just, struggling from moment to moment. An ease in that energy and a pretty good flow of money coming your way, okay? So let's go ahead. We're going to look at our divine doors. And I'm going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. Oh, the white rooms. I always look at this and I think I would absolutely get this so smudged up. I don't know what it is about me. I'm just a messy person. I clean constantly. I'm always wiping stuff down because I don't know what it is. I'm just always smudging stuff and it's always been that way. I don't know. So you'll see me wiping things down constantly if you're ever in my home. All right, so it says, a moment's joy, sand through the hourglass, yet could stand still. Oh no, yet time could stand still. Let's start over. Sand through the hourglass, yet time could stand still. A moment lasts forever in the bliss of the heart's will. Now, I will talk about this for just a moment. I'm going to make myself remember, don't get on a long spiraling walkabout of talking. But I do want to talk about living in one's memories intentionally, okay? This isn't like intrusive thinking where you just are, it enters your mind and you're stuck in this old trauma or hurt or maybe it is a very sentimental moment, but it pulls you out of whatever's going on in your life and you're kind of just stuck in that place. That's not what I mean here. This is intentionally developing your relationship with your memories. Okay, kind of like dreaming, kind of like guided meditation. This is accessing these old places, these things that have come to pass, and entering them as if you were opening a door and walking into the room. Immersing yourself in the impressions. What does it smell like? What is the light like? What are the textures? What does it feel like? How are you feeling? Are you anxious? Are you in love? Are you, dreading something? Is there anxieties rising? Do you not want to be here? Whatever it is, making note of how you're feeling, walking around in the room as if you were there or wherever you're at. I mean, you could be outside or whatever. Looking at the objects, feeling them. Remembering, what does this mean to me? This brush sitting on my mother's changing table or dressing table. What does that feel like? I remember that was my great grandmother's and my mother. She got it for her wedding, and when I was a child, I admired it, and I hoped one day it would be mine. And what does that feel like? What did that feel like in the moment? And now what does it feel like? So this is just a little example, but these are important exploration techniques, okay? These are ways that we can build little homes within our mind. if that makes sense. Little dwellings, right? Animating the rooms of our interior mansion. And so if you do at times, maybe you're having lunch in your car, you're at work, and you go out to your car, you're going to eat. And kind of just zone out, look at the parking lot, watch the birds eating french fries or whatever. And instead of just kind of, you know, being in the vast tundra of your mind, entering these places, actively seeking them out. Think about your potent memories. Allow yourself to go into there. Allow yourself to look around. Allow yourself to be swimming through the thing. It really does improve our ability to be present in our moments. When something is happening, when we are somewhere, instead of taking our cameras out, our phone out to take pictures, remember what everything is. Look at it. Experience it. You know? Because one day, maybe down the road here, you're going to re-enter it and make it part of those core memories, right? It's also just a good practice to try to be present, you know, that also. But anyways, Pisces, I want to tell you I love you. And I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I read them all. And especially if this is your first time watching, I'd love to hear from you. All right. I thank you. I love you. We'll talk in a few days. Good night. Good night. Good night.